Okay, welcome to coaching this morning, broadcasting live from St. George office. Great to get around and see a lot of the different offices that we have. And if you haven't been down to the St. George office recently, it's sure changed a lot. I'm actually upstairs. It's a little dark behind me, trying to get the lighting right for Zoom, but it's a great space. Hope you were able to see that. Some of you may have stopped by during your trip to Vegas convention. So, but welcome everybody. We're going to talk about, well, I got a lot to talk about. Got my notes here about what to go over. Let's go to page 80 in the manual. And let's see here. I've got to pull that up. Sorry, guys. I'm going to have to, well, let's see. While I'm doing that, here we are on recording. Everyone's going, I'm fast forwarding this. You know, Will, come on, get your act together. What the heck? Yeah, I don't blame you. Coaching manual. Sorry, guys. There we go. I just needed the latest PDF. Okay. Let's go to page 80. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. 80. Almost there. Here we go. Got it. And I'll blow the screen up. Sorry, little spinning wheel. Oh, you're so patient with me. Sorry about that. And share screen. Okay. So this we've gone over this before, so I'm going to approach it a little differently this time. Frankly, I thought we need to memorize this. I was talking to a couple of agents last week, and I think these things really matter. These are, yes, the basics in some ways, but it's not basic to have them presented in a proper way. So we're looking at kind of the backstory here on this paragraph about being asked from a seller about what pricing can we expect when we were touring a property before it was live on the MLS. And as you guys know, that can catch you off guard a little bit, because the reality is there's a lot of data that needs to be analyzed before we could really give any kind of an opinion on what a property may sell for, or kind of a price range, any of that. So, but quickly my mind went to these approaches of how we determine value. So just remind yourself, comparable approach is the most common. Cost approach is analyzing income and using cap rate value to determine a potential sale value. Cost approach. Sorry, did I get that wrong? I did. Cost approach is taking acquisition cost plus what it costs to improve the property. I have a building right now that really applies to. We've got invoices that add up to be our sales price in addition to the acquisition of the lot. That doesn't always mean value. We know that, but it can shed some light on kind of a ballpark. There's the income approach using cap rate. Also, we could look at assess rate. Kind of gives us a little bit of a ballpark to help clarify a little bit. So those might be ways you approach it, but we're trying to answer, how long will it take? Will the property sell? What if it's not selling? You've got a listing right now. You might be asking yourself, what's going on? What do we need to do? So we look at these factors. And so I wanted to make sure that you've memorized these: price, location, amenities, condition, market, marketing, and finance. So there's 7 of them to consider. So let me stop sharing for just a second. How many of you feel like you've got those memorized? You could kind of give those back to anybody, forward, backwards, sideways. Doug, you're shaking your head. Yes. John, you could? Okay, awesome. I think it structures your conversation a lot better. Kristen, good to hear that. When you have things organized in your mind, it changes the way you present. So write this down. This is not in your book, but I was reminded from a mentor about how we go about presenting something. Okay. And there's three personalities I think that we need to have when we're delivering a message, and we are all presenters. Okay, we present in the marketing presentation, listing presentation. We present in the buyer consultation meeting, but we present, don't we? We're always presenting. So these are the three personalities I think should dominate us as we go and present. Here we are. Number one personality is the heart of a teacher. Kind of thinking about your elementary teacher, you know, or the high school teacher that just absolutely loves the student. It's all about the student. It was never about them. They just love the student. The next one is professor. So teacher, heart of a teacher, the depth of a professor. This is well studied, well researched. Analytics are available. I mean, we've got the data. Okay, so there's no shortcuts here. This is the study. Okay, so teacher, professor. The next one is presenter. And I mean kind of like the person who's just delivers well. And there's a lot of styles to that. I mean, you can say there's humor, there's organization, there's kind of a sequence to presenting. This takes a lifetime to get right. So you got the heart of a teacher, the depth of a professor, and the ability to present like a presenter. If you miss one of those in your listing or marketing presentation, you're missing. So think about going into a listing presentation where if you're all about getting the listing, you could miss having the heart of the teacher, right? Because now it's about you obtaining a listing. A lot of you understand that, but if you're not well researched and you're coming at it generally and you're not getting down into the deep weeds, then you could also miss on a connection. And if you're not presenting well, if you're too serious, or you don't have any cadence to it, there's no organization to it, you're going to miss. That's why I think the 7 factors are so important to memorize, because if we're going to be honest about what the solutions are to problems, then we need to be honest about what really weighs in on whether a property sells. And it's all about those 7 factors. Okay. So I said I was approaching this a little bit differently because we just reviewed this like 2 months ago. And I even did traveled around in, I think, November of last year and hit a couple of the offices on the 7 factors. So if you need more depth than that, maybe this is not the class to do that in. There's another recording on it you can watch. So I want to ask you guys this. Take a look. Well, how do I get? Okay. Speaking the language of a seller language or a language of benefit. Tell me this. What are the core benefits that everybody wants out of you as a marketing or a listing agent? What do they want? And I'll give you the easiest one. It's the highest price. So, but what else do they want? So what else are they? The saying is we don't buy features, we buy benefits. So what are the benefits? And if one of them is the highest possible price, then what are the other benefits that they want from you?
Marketing.
Why is it better to spend the commission and get the benefit than not pay the commission and not have these benefits? So what are they? What are the benefits of hiring you? So just light up the chat. So we got convenient market conditions can help with this. Let's see. So ease, John, thank you. Allison, smooth transaction. What else? What else they want from you? So really, I think there's 5 here, guys, and maybe one of them is a little bit of a repeat. But highest price, number 1. What else do we have? I like these words. I mean, reassurance, legal safety, good. Shortest amount of time. Yep, least amount of inconvenience. Great. Lower legal risk. Love it. So we're going to organize these. It's on page 93. Page 93, put those down as core benefits. So highest possible price, the quickest sale, the best chance of selling. No one's hit on that one yet. Best chance of selling. Least amount of legal risk has been said, or convenience, or smooth transaction. highest net at closing is very much like having the highest possible price, but the highest net at closing contemplates expenses. It contemplates contributions on the behalf of the seller. So our objective for all of us is to obtain really the highest net, isn't it? Right? The highest possible net at closing. If you're not speaking this way, if you're not tying benefit to what you do, then you're missing the mark. You're not presenting and delivering well. Your heart's in the right place. Many of you love your clients. So that's typically not where we need to sharpen the saw. That's our culture. However, we could be better at being at the depth of the professor, and we could be better at presenting. And when you're better at presenting, you're organized. 7 factors. There are 7 reasons why properties don't sell. Let's go through them, right? That's more of an honest approach. The professor needs data, needs to back it up with statistics that support theories. So if we have a theory on why the property is not selling, perhaps it's overpriced. What do you think our best? Matter of fact, let's grab at that. What data set do I need if I suspect that my price is too high? Then what data would I pull? If I think my price is too high, what data do I need? Well, I need comps, but what kind? John, there you go. Comparable under contracts. That's it. So love that. Yeah, very recent. So within the time frame we've been listed, which ones went under contract? And we should keep everybody up to date on that. So huge piece of data that we need. We could dive a little deeper into this to get comps that are, more similar to our subject property. The more similar they are, the better the data is. The more we have to reach, the worse that conclusion becomes using this kind of data. Okay, so very, very good. There's your very specific tip. If property is not selling, go grab your under contracts since you've been listed and answer the question, why did they go under contract and you didn't? Now, because the 7 factors, the price is, let's go back to that. So let's go back to the 7 factors. Because the price is the one that makes up for everything, right? So you can say, well, they were in a better location. Yeah, but price could make up for location. Well, they had more amenities. That's why they sold. Well, okay, price could make up for that. But I think this is why we get in such a bad habit of just going directly to price, but we need to understand why we're going to price. Okay, if they have more amenities and more value in amenities than our subject property, and we've used price to adjust for amenities, let's just be clear about why we did that. It's very lazy for a seller agent to just go to price. We need a price reduction because we haven't sold. Let's understand the reason. And I think that has more heart to it. I think that's better at our professor mentality. And I think we present that well when we're organized. That's kind of really what I wanted to talk about. When I thought about last week and the calls I've had and the little mini coaching sessions that sometimes happen just, spontaneously in the office, this is what I keep coming back to. I thought about the 3 personalities, and I thought about how important it is to have the data that supports the question that we're being asked, and making sure that we're not being too quick to go to price adjustments. And if we do go to price adjustments, understand the reason we are and show data. People really appreciate that, you guys, when you're not being in a hurry, but you're giving them reason behind the price adjustments. Okay, I'm going to turn the channel. Any comments on that? No? Insights? None? Okay. All right. Okay, I don't want to run out of time, so I need some help on something. Next week, leadership, well, Lance and I have asked for the brokers to get together for a discussion. Are any of the brokers on? Was Sandy on, I think, a minute ago? Jill's on. Okay, we're having a discussion about training, about this.
Yeah.
Hi, Sandy. Good morning.
Hi, I'm downstairs and I can't find my button.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
I can't find the buttons to operate this.
I got you. I got you. Joe and I are getting pretty quick on that. Even yesterday in sales meeting, we had an agent walking around in a robe. That was quickly
video. I'm fully dressed, Will. I'm
okay. Good.
Upstairs.
That's great. Good. Like after all these years, after 3 years of doing this, we still had someone walking around in a robe. So here's the question. There's 520 agents, right, in the company. There's 43 on today, and I appreciate you guys being here. And I admire your discipline.
See, I'm here.
Okay, there's Sandy, everybody. I admire your discipline for making coaching a priority to you. I really can't honestly say there's been a coaching session that wouldn't benefit anyone, no matter what your production is, because even if these topics are repetitive, you need to be reminded. And I think the purpose of coaching is to inspire, is to calm, it's to guide, it's to learn from each other, and it's a great refill of your tank every Wednesday. So I applaud you for being here. It seems like we're missing like at least 100 agents, you know? So I would love some input from you all. We're thinking about kind of going back to the drawing board and reconsidering how we approach training and coaching. You know, we really were forced into Zoom because of COVID. And then we found a kind of a neat benefit. Moab, Logan, Ogden, St. George at the time, was a smaller office, but we found a benefit that we could connect the offices that were distant into these groups, right? Sales meeting and what have you. I'm confessing, I'm going to be as truthful as I possibly can. Zoom is killing Will Cooper. I can't do it anymore. I just can't not be with you guys. I just can't. It's been 3 years. I'm dying. I need to be around you. I think we need to be around each other. So I'm going to kind of propose a shift and a change, but I would love your input. At the same time, I'm here. Look, I'm here today in St. George. It's primarily easier because I have a house here, but I don't want to miss an opportunity to be with Rachel and Jessica in Moab. And I don't want to miss a chance to be with anyone in Logan. I don't want to miss a chance to be with anyone. I think I might be inadvertently signing myself up for some serious road trips. So I may be hitting the road a lot, which frankly would be a lot better than Zoom. Okay? Like if I have to be alone in the car for a few hours or spend the night, somewhere, that's not so bad if I could just be around you guys. Elizabeth, your comment, look, I used to go to Park City once a week. Before COVID, I was in Old Mill and Park City pretty much every other time. And about every other month, I'd go up at Ogden. It was just so good to have us in the same room together. We present to people in person often now. Occasionally it's over maybe a Zoom meeting or something like that, but we're pretty much back to being, in person. And I think we need a shift and a change. Do you guys agree that there's maybe some improvements here? Do you have any ideas on what we could do to have, I guess training is a weird word. It's not like something's wrong, therefore we need training, but it's kind of like, our workouts, like it's how do we how do we improve each other and inspire each other, be calming influences, or, learn from each other. I mean, that's what all this is. But do you have any insight?
Will, I appreciate your honesty, your straightforwardness. This is killing you. I can see this. And I think it's a great thing you're addressing this. I want to just say, if you don't mind me taking some time here, is that I think it's so convenient to be able to jump on Zoom. I think you're going to miss a lot of people if we don't have some type of remote access to you. And I think your coaching is extremely valuable. I try to get there every time I can, every which way. And I just think you're right. I think it's a calming thing, and I think it's wonderful. I think in person is absolutely necessary too. I agree with you. And I think that in my mind, just quickly jumping to what I would think a solution would be is to make sure you've got a crowd of people and Zoom it is at the same time. But I know that takes resources as well. But, and how many people will show up if they know they can just, conveniently jump on Zoom? That's probably the issue, right, Will? Is that once people can take the less resistance route, they will. And then you're left in the office speaking to your screen all day.
Yeah.
My thoughts.
By the way, thank you, Phil. Can I just analyze something that Phil just did? Phil did not minimize the concern. Okay, the first thing he did is he acknowledged the concern, he acknowledged the honesty, and he appreciated the truth that was being said. Then he also added on to that and said, it's really convenient for me to be on Zoom at times, and I really need it. When you're presenting with people and they bring up a concern, the worst thing you could ever do is completely minimize the concern as if it's wrong. Right? So thank you, Phil. This is what we get out of coaching. This is a moment. I'm just saying training's the issue. And I presented what I think is the problem, and Phil reacted to what, this issue. So he did it by acknowledging it and not minimizing it. So if you want a lesson on presenting, never minimize a client's concern, no matter what it is. Thank you, Phil. When we're getting down into the details of this, who was it? Monique, maybe we can teach live and Zoom. We just did this with CE. We used the owl and a kind of a 360 camera. I think that turned out okay. How many of you were on the CE class where we did Keeping Deals Alive? And you did the Zoom version of that? I mean, what was your experience with that, Cecilia? Was that okay? And it worked well? Okay, so I mean, I think it turned out well from what we're hearing and what we're seeing. I have not seen the produced version yet for online, but we could just travel that technology around. So, I mean, hypothetically, I could just be presenting right now in St. George to a live group, right? But the Zoom is there also. I can go to Moab, do the same thing, right? And so you'll always have, like, hypothetically, a Zoom option. And I'm not trying to jump to the conclusion too quickly, but yeah, it's killing me. It's killing me not to be around you guys. Yeah, I mean, it's like hurts my heart somewhere. It's like I've missed someone. And I don't know, like a friend that I haven't spoken to, and I kind of wonder why I haven't. And it just hurts my heart. It's hard for me to describe, but it's this emptiness, you guys, that I can't.
Is there a possibility that you could think of it in more of maybe you do live classes twice a month and have them on Zoom as well, and then you have your Zoom classes at least once or twice a month? I mean, for us down here, like, Zoom is the only way we're connected to all of Berkshire, Utah properties, right?
Yeah.
We don't see leadership down here. We haven't had visits. We don't have training. We don't have anything in person here. And we would love, and we've been asking for years for more interaction personally here, and we'd love to have that, but without Zoom, we don't have any connection. So that's if you notice that we're usually 20% of your trainings is the Moab crew, because you're there. It's our only connection to training, and we encourage all of our agents to be a part of it. So we participate, but I know that talking to the computer isn't, and we're probably not always talking back to you, which probably isn't helpful for you. But you're our only connection through Zoom. That's the only way we stay connected.
I think you're right, Rachel. You're right. You're totally right. And I love you guys as much as anyone. So, this is the conundrum.
Let's see if we can, get some funding together for a therapist for you.
Oh, I need to call Matt Townsend back in.
That's right. Yeah, don't go away, Will. Don't go.
Yeah, thanks, you guys. I sure love you guys. I really do. You know that. And Rachel, I feel you. So I was kind of thinking about maybe having this Zoom option where it's live in a different location. But anyone else have any other take on this, or?
Hey, Will,
Yeah.
you could just come downstairs. I mean, you're in the office, so we could have I love the idea of the fact that you're here right now upstairs in a vacant little office.
Right.
And there's people in the office right now. Why are we not sitting in the conference room and you're, doing the live session with, so, you can think of it that way, but maybe on that first Tuesday of every month, that's your time to travel to the different locations when you're not having your Northern Utah meeting. And then everybody gets a chance to see you up close and personal.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, yes, see, it kind of begs the question. I'm here. There's agents here in this office. What am I doing, in this little office? So, yeah, this is the shift and change that needs to happen. So if I just pick the location every week, Wednesday, and Rachel, I promise you, I will be in Moab in the next 90 days, easy. Like, it may be 60 days. Okay. So, but
I'm marking the calendar and holding you to it.
Yeah. Hey, put me up in one of those great houses you have. So yeah, and it would, it won't be a weekend. Okay. It won't take your weekend, revenue, but it'd be a Tuesday night, so anyway, yeah, a GoFundMe for Will. You guys are funny. Monique, okay. Pay for Matt Townsend counseling. Yeah, he has the double week whammy, the Tuesday, Thursday special going on. Maybe I need the double dose. Yeah, so Chris, this is what my 2 cents challenge, story time, morning kids. Yeah, I know it's so convenient. Bev, I think, said the same thing earlier, right? Up in the chat. Yeah, the convenience just can't be discounted. It makes management time, no traffic. Yeah, and Bev, I have such great memories of us, in the basement of Saddleview. All those years, it was really good for me. It was great to just be around everybody. We had natural, fluent, conversations. They could take a pivot on where needed. And just like our presentations with our clients, we go in flexible, because we're not really sure what's top of mind for them. Yes, of course, we're there to talk about selling a property. Yes, we're here to talk about, coaching, but I like the fluid, involving conversations, because that's more real, right? I know everyone preferred the in-person, and it's just the logistics sometimes. So, well, if anyone has anything else to add to that, please, email me or call me. I would love your input. We're going to make some changes on how this is all done. I'm kind of leaning towards just having a different location. Joe, you're listening to all of this. Joe Lowry, are you still on?
I'm watching from the universe.
You are.
Okay. The big picture, Will.
Got it. From the big picture. Good. I mean, everything we just said, that's possible, right? I mean, could I just travel around with the ability to do Zoom and live no matter where we are?
Are we taking your truck so I fit, or the Corvette so I can't have to strap on a luggage rack? I'm not quite sure, like, where that. I don't know what the roof load is on that carbon fiber on the Corvette.
Yeah, we're good.
There's something about.
it's a good point. Summer's coming. It's a good time to take a car. So
Yeah, I mean, I love the comments in the chat. This is the ultimate. And by the way, I think that any company that cares about its culture is having the same conversation at an honest level. I doubt many companies are having it at the same level of honesty that we're having it right now. And the bottom line is the Zoom again was thrust upon us. That was one of the busiest weekends of my life. When we got back from convention and we realized we can't open our offices on Monday and we still have to do business. And we went from having no remote ability to having to have a full secure encrypted video communication system in 2 days. But we got that part figured out. The interesting part has now become there's a heavily weighted benefit in terms of travel, in terms of time to absorb knowledge remotely. And there is a heavily weighted benefit of being able to be in person, and splitting those two things. I think we need to be very honest that we might not get it right at first, which is okay, because you're talking to an organization that is owned by a group of people and managed by a group of people that only want to do what's best. So we need to all be honest about trying it a couple of different ways and seeing how that worked. And the honest feedback is 100% critical to how we do this moving forward, because if it's, participation drops off, by half or 2/3, and we don't know why, maybe, and it could be simply solved as, well, we need 2 cameras on the remote locations, or we need better microphones in the audience, or we need something else like that. If we don't know why it didn't work, then we can't fix it. But at the same time, we need to also provide that same level of engagement and that split attention when you're doing something that's live and on Zoom. Because when you're doing it live, there's a different level of engagement because you're there. And when you're on Zoom, if the class is taught for the people that are there live, the people on Zoom might not feel as engaged as they would have. And if it's only for Zoom, the people that are sitting there live going, well, I could have done this at home. So it's a little bit of a mix as we go through this. But in terms of the technology, I mean, we will figure it out. It's just, I think the beautiful part about all of this is having this conversation, and whatever happens and however we go, just keep providing the feedback. And, I'll tip my hat again to Phil as well, because the first comment out of the gate was, I love it. I love being in person, but at the same time, the ability for me to do this remote is really important, and Chris Visser said the same thing. It was like, the timing on the morning, right? Trying to make a school run, trying to get down, do that. I'd rather be in person, but I need to have that backup. And so I don't think the option is either or. I think the option is always both. We got to figure out how to make sure that we always have both, but we need your feedback and we need your participation, just like we're having right now, so that we can figure out how to make it work on both sides of the advantages of being able to do it remotely and the advantages of being able to be together in person.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the technology to do it, and if we don't get it right in the beginning, we'll just keep making adjustments till we get it right.
I'll figure that part out. I mean,
so I just like the very same thing that's hurting me to not be around you guys would also be the same thing if I felt like someone on Zoom, and particularly like Moab is a great example, you guys. They don't have the choice. Okay. There's not a lot of options. Okay. I mean, it's one of the great things about being in Moab, by the way. if you want to be distant from people, get to Moab. It's awesome. Talk about a disconnect. It's awesome. How's that for a sales pitch, Rach? So, it has its benefits, but there's the challenge, and Moab is a great example. And it would just kill me to think that, we were leaving out anyone in Moab. It would just kill me. So we got to figure this out. I think it's the hybrid model, but it's, there's that too. We've been also going to talk about sales meeting. I think we need to adjust sales meeting a little bit. So that'll be on our agenda. We're having this little think tank on Tuesday. If you guys have any input on how to make sales meeting better, coaching better, training better, anything like that, please, I want to hear from you. We value your opinion. We're doing this all for you anyway, right? So yeah, go ahead, Rach.
People in Moab will travel. So we are an island in the sky, and we know that we're an hour and a half, 3 hours away from most of anything. So we're used to traveling. So if you set up meetings in advance where we can set up, time throughout the year where we can go to different offices, as long as you come to us as well, we will travel.
Yeah.
But we do want the opportunity for Zoom too.
Yeah.
So I think that, you're on the right path of trying to satisfy what you need, because you need the in-person, because talking to the screen is just driving you crazy. But we will travel. If you give us enough of a schedule in advance and we can make those arrangements, we're used to that. So keep that in mind too.
Okay, you got it. And thanks for loving me back, you guys. I feel like maybe I was too honest there. I didn't mean to make like me a problem, but maybe
can I just throw it too? Like Will is voicing what we as a management team have been talking about for over a year. Like this is not like a new thing. This has been a consistent question on how do we pull this off and how do we make sure everyone's included. So Will's just as usual. Will's the beautiful face.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but perhaps if there was just more in person, the tank is full, and look, we're trying to protect a culture. We're trying to protect you. We're trying to protect who we are. And, when, it's like when people leave Brookshire that we care about, it just leaves this hole in our heart. And we think, what the heck is going on? And then we come back to like, well, did they even know what they were leaving? Like, if you don't know what you got till it's gone, you don't have to be gone to figure that out. You just know what you have. And I think that's the delivery mechanism. That's coaching, that's training, to know what we have here. And it's the practical application of the tools and services, technologies that we have. And that's what this is all about. So, there's the driver, and it's a worthy purpose. And I really appreciate your insight, Rachel. Appreciate you so much. You're a good friend also, and I value your opinion. So if, for example, there's one more thing on this. We had a CE class. There was a competition actually, right, Ange? We had a little wager going on how many would show up live. And Joe weighed in on this too. So right before the class started, we had about 32 people signed up live in person. So in person, not live, but in person. And we had about 54 signed up on Zoom. The morning of the class, we had 97 people on Zoom. And we had 28 people live. And it was 1 hour CE class with Mark and I. And it was a great class, right? It was great to see everybody. And that's the class I'm referring to, where we tried out a new technology. Thanks, Phil, for nodding, where, it was to the owl and the camera, and we were trying to do both. And I think it worked really well, and because everyone could be included. The trouble with the law is, with the state, they only allow 100 people over Zoom. So clearly we'd want to give preference to, say, Moab, St. George, Ogden, Logan, for where it's really it's hard to travel that far. And it's a huge sacrifice to come that far for a 1 hour class. So, we could do that. We could put priority there. We could also just travel around the CE class. The mandatory class is going to be a bigger class, so probably needs to be held in Salt Lake. We don't even have a place to hold it in Park City. There's not, unless we went to a third location, like not our own. We'd have to rent a location, so don't have one there. But these coaching sessions could easily be held in offices, and we just rotate Wednesday. I think that's kind of interesting that 50 people showed up on Zoom last minute. And it's because I'm just contemplating something. It's like, and not that I would take Zoom away entirely, but because there's some who can't consume any other way, right? But if Zoom weren't there for the people, say, in Salt Lake, would they come to the live in person? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you always give someone the Zoom option, that's probably what they're going to go to, even if they're in Salt Lake. Because most of those 50, you guys, were Wasatch Front, who could have easily attended in person, but they were in Zoom.
I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Paige. How are you, buddy?
Good, how you will. What if we, like, sales meeting when Zoom first started I thought was awesome, because there was a connection to upper management. And then like all the vice presidents, presidents, ownership, whatever, gave their specialty. Like they talked about what they specialized in. And I thought, man, that was awesome. Like there was just so much information from the leadership. And then that kind of went away. That turned into a listing thing where it doesn't apply to most people because most listings are in Salt Lake or St. George or whatever. It's like, well, that means nothing to me. And then, and so that's kind of where I feel like it's gone to now. What if we did live in your office, sales meeting, and then followed with coaching, so it was the same day to make the trip worth it, just a 2 hour instead of driving down for an hour.
Okay. Man, I'm feeling better already.
I find so much value in it. For me, like a lot of comments to 9:30, that's hard for me because that's when I'm driving kids around, and but 10:30 is better for me. But like your time's valuable too, and I know you have a lot of jobs on your plate, and so it's a give and take for everybody, right? Like you can't just, it really doesn't make sense for you to be trying to drive to all these different locations when you've already got a packed plate for the day, and all the time that you're putting into preparing for these classes, and it all of a sudden it becomes your sole job, and that doesn't really probably work for what you need to be accomplishing.
Thanks, Paige. I appreciate that.
Hey, Will, can I say something?
Oh, please, Allison. Yes. And hey, by the way, before Allison comments, all the comments that are typed in the chat, when this is recorded, we can keep a copy of that, right, Joe? So, Joe, we have a copy of all the chats there. I'm going to use that as our think tank discussion on Tuesday. So please get your comments in the chat. Joe will send me the copy of the chat, and we'll share that as we're trying to make some pivots on this. So go ahead, Allison.
Thanks, Will. And thanks so much for the coaching. I would like to say that as someone who's been in real estate coming up on 20 years full time, the pandemic was really tough on me. And then I had 3 of the best years I've ever had in my entire career. But now that the pandemic, it's still a disease, I get it, and it's still serious, but people aren't dying. We're not as concerned. I've had some concerns that with business slowing down, that we aren't getting together in person. And I've talked to Angie about this, that I feel like Zoom is fabulous, and I love the connection and I love the coaching, but there is a different kind of collaboration when we're all in the same room. And I get the convenience factor. I don't live close to our office at all, so I have to, schedule to be there. But the collaboration, you have conversations that you never even dreamed you would have when you get together in person. So I love the Zoom option. The next, the mandatory CE, I'm going to be out of town, and I love that I can do that over Zoom. But I think as a company, to keep people from leaving and to keep people feeling connected, we need to have in-person meetings. I heard a rumor that it might be happening at least once a month, and I just think that's fabulous, because you talk about what's coming up on the market a month from now when you're in person that you don't do on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So you're more connected with people, but you're also more connected with the market. That's my take.
Thanks, Allison. Really, really appreciate that. If it's not too much trouble, Allison, could you put that in an email or something? Yeah, just send me that so I can have your comments in the think tank on Tuesday. So yeah.
Will, this is Chris. Can I have a second to
please
kind of
go ahead,
spitball?
Chris. Yep. Love to
So
hear.
I put that kind of long chat in the chat there, and it's talking about format, but I feel like I might need to give you a little bit more context. If it
Okay.
is going to go into the think tank, And the perspective that you would need as far as like a video is not like direct faced, it's from the side. So you can see your face and then the other people's. That it's a small group and those people could rotate, but you have a prepared thing to talk about, and then you just have a conversation. That way you're getting more of an actual conversation feel when you're talking and almost intimately communicating with people, but it also tricks people on Zoom into feeling like they're actually in there talking with you, like they're actually participating on a different level versus one-to-one. And then there's the awkward pauses, because what it gives you is those people are reacting to you in real time, and then there's more of a natural conversation going on in your head and in the other people. So it depends on the camera angle as well, as far as like how to record it. But I think that if you do that as well, that might satisfy some of the okay. And I think it also makes I think it would make the trainings more snappy and a lot more engaging. So anyway, I didn't know if my chat got that through.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Noted. Joe, you're listening to Chris, right? Yeah. Okay.
I know exactly what Chris is talking about.
Nice. Okay, love it. I'm just thinking out loud, if they're not to spend a bunch of money here, Joe, but I wonder if there needs to be equipment in the offices that we broadcast from, like it's already there, and then it could be set up prior. I don't know. I'm just thinking if that's easier or something. When I got to St. George office this morning, you're just scrambling. And well, the hardest challenge I have in the mornings is when I get phone calls from people I want to help prior to a meeting, right, Joe? And it's like you look at the phone and you go, if I take this, it could bump into coaching, right? And I want to take it. And so I took a call, and then now I'm about 15 minutes behind, and all that. And I mean, I'm available. I want to help, but I'm not complaining. I really am not. I love the calls. So it's just, maybe there's something to twist there where you can get everything up and running. And then when you walk in, it's up and going. Technology's been tested, Wi-Fi is up and going, and, audio's been tested and all of that. I don't know. I'm not sure how much this equipment costs, if the convenience is worth it, but maybe there are 3 primary locations, and then we could travel to say, like, what if I broadcast, hypothetically, what if I broadcast 2 to 4 times a year from Moab, but the rest are Salt Lake, Park City, Logan or Ogden, and St. George, something like that. And you just rotate around.
What about, I think probably better than trying to drive to Logan or Ogden would be maybe Bountiful. Like that's kind of splitting the difference, right? Because Logan's like far from your office in Salt Lake, but like Bountiful is kind of it's not that 45 from Logan, maybe an hour, half hour, 40 minutes from Ogden,
right?
That would, and then you get the 3 offices at least, and maybe some from Salt Lake would come to Bountiful. I don't know. I feel like you're trying to be everywhere for everyone, and I just don't know that you can do that and will still be happy at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I kind of figured that North Salt Lake or Bountiful could either attend, Ogden or Salt Lake. That's like, it's not that big of a deal. And Logan and Ogden could kind of come together too. So if you're in Ogden or Logan, you can have that live and in-person group from either office. So, but okay, sounds like we're getting warm. Mike, you got a take on this? I mean, I'll see on Tuesday where we will really be debating this. But you got a take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me there's a hybrid approach here where we need to have, everybody should have on their calendars at all times some in-person stuff that we are attending regularly. What that looks like, I don't know that I really know, but I do feel like, I did see some comments on social media resource center. And, and I do see this frequently where agents are, the market's slowing down, so they're upping their game in other areas to attract more business. And I think maybe we need to be more specific and have our training cater to those things, as opposed to, maybe even in our sales meeting, have those things be more of the focus than our current format. Because, we have, as always, we're always talking about tools and stuff, but I think, to spend an hour every week talking about specific tools would probably be really valuable.
Yep, I agree. Mike, I was just thinking, naturally, when I'm in person, I do role plays all the time, but over Zoom, really tough to do. I tried to, we say, hey, Mike, you want to have a conversation with me, but it's not natural. I'm talking to a screen, and 80% of the human communication is body language, tone, emphasis, and it's really hard to do that when it's been reduced to the computer screen. And so, and maybe this is on me where I need to kind of get over it. But I do naturally do actual dialogue when I'm with someone. When I'm not with someone, I'm having a harder time being authentic and natural about role playing. So I'm talking about the very specific sentences I would use in situations. So that's where I think I'm pulling back and saying, look, let's keep what's good about the convenience of Zoom. And it's time for us to up our game on how we're delivering content and training. And that's all we're talking about here. It's trying to up our game like everybody is. I mean, this is an opportunity to get better, and we can do that. And we have the resources to do it. We've got the best people in the industry right here in our own company. We're very spoiled. So we can do it. We can pull it off. And I intend to do it. We intend to do it. And we will do it. And it will be better. And the end result of this is, I promise you, by the end of this year, you will see more of me in person in every office than you have in all 3 years combined. Okay? Count on it. Gonna happen. And it's not just for me. It's like, yeah, we need to see all of us together. It's like the thing that ails us is the very thing that we need. Yes, the convenience is nice, but oh my gosh, you need it as much as I do. All right, you need to be around your peers. I mean, listen to what Allison's saying, and there's a lot of folks who feel this way. So let's see if we can't do both, but we need each other. We are a people business. It's what draws you to real estate anyway. Everyone who is successful in this business is great with people. And we need training and coaching and guidance to be in person more than we need it over the computer, is my opinion. It doesn't mean that we need to, and I think it's yours too. It doesn't mean we're going to kill Zoom. It just means that we need to have better training in person. And I think it'll be more natural, it'll be more practical, and it'll be more effective. And you'll find yourself lifted better. Okay, you'll be lifted and more inspired when you're in person, when you're around your peers and you're growing that way.
And to Mike's point, we are bringing back marketing and tech training. So Jamie and I have already started listing those out. So yes, there will be specific trainings on tools. There'll be specific trainings on platforms and skill sets for sort of this next wave of real estate in terms of digital presence and taking everything that Will teaches and the coaching manual teaches and how to represent that digitally in a cohesive and intelligent strategy. All those are part of this ongoing thing. So yeah, there will be a major overhaul here in the next several months.
Yeah. To Phil's point, if we would have had, say, 75 or 80 or 100 or a full room in person, and we would have had Zoom, I would say that's that's your triple double, or your double double. We would have had, the rebounds and the points. So I've been very happy with that. And I think we as a group would have been really good with that. So yes, I don't want to discount that we've been successful on Zoom. It's not been like the attendance has been good in many cases, especially CE. Now today we've had about 40. So, 45, 47, whatever it was. I think we should be at least twice that. And you don't always have to be on coaching, guys. Life happens. It's okay. But we've got a pretty good sample size now. and it should be larger. And, you know, roundtables that happen once a week, maybe we're going to look at that too. But those should be well more attended than what they are. And for that matter, sales meetings should probably be more attended, you know, than what they are also. So we're going to think about all this. Thank you for your chats, you guys. And thanks for loving me back. It really, you guys are awesome. You know, first, you're friends. We happen to be blessed to work together. But I consider all of you dear friends. I care about you, think about you, pray for your wellness all the time, and how we could better help you as a company and how I can better help you. And so this is just me on this journey. And what are the answers? So I know the answers are out there, and we'll find them, and we'll get better, and we'll be better as a company. We'll be better as people. And that's always a good thing. So that's the journey we're on. Joe, you can stop the recording.